The Rock being in an A24 movie? You heard me right. The Rock will be teaming up with the one and only Ben Safdie for an A24 film. Okay, let's get to this article then. Okay, coming to us from Variety. Benny Safdie to direct Dwayne Johnson in A24 movie about MMA legend Mark Kerr. Benny Safdie has set his solo directorial debut with The Smashing Machine, an A24 film starring Dwayne Johnson as MMA and UFC champion Mark Kerr. Per A24, the film marks The Rock's move into his most dramatic project and role yet. The movie's logline reads, The Smashing Machine is a drama based on the story of Mark Kerr, the legendary MMA fighter from the no-holds-barred era of the UFC at the peak of his career. He struggles with addiction, winning, love, and friendship in the year 2000. Kerr, an American former wrestler and MMA icon, was a two-time UFC heavyweight tournament champion and World Veil Tudo Championship tournament winner. Over the course of his career, he won over 24 MMA titles. In 2003, Kerr was the subject of an HBO documentary also titled The Smashing Pumpkins. Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia's Seven Bucks production will produce alongside Safdie's Out for the Count banner. Eli Bush and David Copland, Safdie and Johnson have collaborated on The Smashing Machine since Johnson first acquired the rights to the project in 2019. A24 joined as a producer and financer. Dwayne and Benny are singular talents, and their shared vision for Mark's inspiring story is electrifying. We are deeply honored to have their trust as collaborators in bringing this incredibly special project to life, said A24's Noah Sacco in a statement. Okay, this is exciting. This is super exciting. And the reason being is because I think The Rock is in need for a little PR refresh. I think audiences are slightly starting to sort of turn on him just a little bit. I think that's partly to do with a few reasons. Firstly, I think it's to do with the whole Black Adam and DC fiasco. I think that makes him kind of come off like a bit of a, I'm trying to steer this in a way that makes this The Rock's universe. Like, no right mind starts a DC universe thinking, yeah, the two leads of my universe are going to be The Rock as Black Adam and Superman. Like, Black Adam and Superman shouldn't, like, Black Adam should not be who your universe is riding on. I'm sorry, I don't even care if The Rock's playing him. That shouldn't be the case. So I think that added to it. I also think the things that's been happening recently in WWE has not been helping his case whatsoever. I feel like a lot of it is people are seeing him as this like evil corporate board member, a guy that's out for only his thoughts and only his progression and only his pockets. If you know or you don't know, WWE is probably going through a little great patch, but at the same time a little bit of a rough patch with maybe some of the news and the allegations that are sounding pretty damning. I won't lie, they're looking pretty real. Allegedly, don't want no suing and nothing, but with Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar and all of that stuff, John Laurinaitis and all those guys. So The Rock swooped in going, okay, let me save this and let me come in and I'm going to headline WrestleMania, even though there's been sort of like years in the making of this darling of the industry, Cody Rhodes, who's probably gone through a great arc, and a lot of people have been on him and been with him for that arc and have been following that arc from his start to becoming a jobber again, to leaving the company, to starting his own company, to coming back, all like in the shadow and the lineage of his father. It's amazing, and they feel like The Rock swooped in and took his shot and is now headlining WrestleMania to do that. I mean, the audience did not react well to it. I feel like the WWE made a slight pivot since they realized this. I don't think, because they did change their plans and now it's Cody that's getting the match, and I don't think it's like the original plan. Like, I don't think that was the original plan. I think the original plan was for The Rock to face Roman, and they pivoted because of the reaction. So, and obviously even bigger than those two is the whole Hawaii thing with Oprah. Not probably. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't know too much about it. But there are allegations that maybe those two were collecting money for the devastations that was happening in Hawaii, and maybe not all of that money went to the cause, or maybe it wasn't the most truthful. It wasn't the most truthful way to garner the money, especially when they feel like, why are you trying to ask for so much when you could give so much yourself? That was maybe some of the gist of the thing that was coming towards them. Whether you agree with that or not, that's up to you. But he's not had the best public image right now. So, and people are just getting a bit bored of his shtick, I think. Like, you can only raise your eyebrows and call people a jabroni so many times. You can only do it so many times. No matter how entertaining it was, you can only do that so many times. So I think this is perfect for him. I think this is perfect for him, teaming up with A24, with the cachet they have right now with Iron Claw and all of those great stories they're making and all those great indie movies they're giving platforms to. It's just giving him validation. So teaming up with A24 is a great move. Teaming up with Benny Safdie, now that's what gets me. Benny Safdie, I mean, the Safdie brothers in general, they are great. Good Time, if you have not watched Good Time, you need to watch Good Time. That's the movie that I watched and I was like, okay, Robert Pattinson needs to be our next Batman. That movie is incredible. If you haven't seen Uncut Gems, I'm guessing you have, but that's also another Safdie's brother movie. So I think, they worked with Kevin Garnett, and they made Kevin Garnett look like he can act. So if you can make Kevin Garnett look like he can act, I bet they can probably pull some chops out of The Rock that we didn't think he had. And I have that utmost faith in Benny Safdie. And this is the first time he's doing it without his brother, and I commend him for doing that. I mean, that's cool that he was working with his brother. I bet you that's awesome, and I bet you he enjoys doing that. But it's cool that he wants to sort of try and do it on his own this time. And I mean, he's been acting on his own, of course. He's not Siamese twin, but he's been in Obi-Wan. He's in that new Cursed show with Nathan Fieldman. He was in. He's been around. So this is just adding validation. There's nothing wrong with adding talent, like I said. And speaking of talent, they are in talks to add Emily Blunt to the cast. So again, she's worked with Dwayne, like I know the brethren. The Rock. Let's call him by his government name, The Rock. So Emily Blunt has worked with The Rock before on Jungle Cruise, so I think like he might be a bit sort of comfortable with maybe being a bit more vulnerable than he might be used to, especially in the way they're approaching this, because it sounds interesting. I won't lie to you. I don't know the most about Mark Kerr. I've not really heard of him before this. So I'm excited to sort of go in fresh, like with Iron Claw, because I am a big wrestling fan. I was aware of the Von Erich family. Didn't take away from my enjoyment of that movie, but I feel like not knowing the Mark Kerr story and not knowing the ins and outs could actually benefit with this viewing. So I'm really intrigued to see how this comes out. Really, really excited, and I hope it does well for him, man. I hope it helps him sort of, because people now, when it comes to wrestlers turning into actors, you would only think of The Rock, because before that it was just crappy WWE made movies like The Marine or The Chaperone or whatever. And then now but then for a second it was only The Rock really doing it properly, really like making his name in Hollywood. But then guys like Dave Bautista, guys like John Cena show up to the scene, and they're showing him what they can do. John Cena has been quoted, like James Gunn is quoted as saying John Cena is the best guy he's ever done improv on his set before. Like, doesn't surprise me either, by the way, because like these wrestlers have to think on their feet constantly, not just on the mic, but even while wrestling. So I feel like that muscle he's been training for years and years and years. So that doesn't surprise me as well. And Dave Bautista, like bar for bar, is the best actor out of all of them. Not even close. Him in Knives Out, Dune, Spectre, all of that stuff. Like he's just above the other two right now. Right? I'm not saying that The Rock or John Cena can't get there. They just haven't shown that sort of dimension just yet. They just haven't shown that dimension just that. Dave Bautista's shown he can do action. He can be an action star, and he can do a character driven thing like the M. Night Shyamalan film he was in, with the four horsemen at the cabin thing, knock at the cabin, something like that. He was great in that as well. He was basically the lead of that, and he was great in that. He was absolutely great. So I'm excited to have The Rock maybe get in that conversation again. I think he can do it. So only time will tell.